see. I have not done this. What up, YouTube? It's your boy Detroit Love with another video. No Super Game Rooms dudes show tonight. These guys are off doing what they want to do, and they left me all by myself. So I'm not live on the Super Game Room show. I am live on my own channel, and so I just want to come and hang out with you guys and see what's happening. You know, I've been enjoying the summer, and now it's starting to get cold outside. Football season, and so that's where I've been. So let me check out the comments here. What's going on? Ted Adam Green is in the house. Let's go, Detroit Love. I appreciate you guys. No, there is no show tonight. What's going on, gentlemen? Gallagher guy, I missed you and your wife last week. I was not there, so you filled in. I appreciate that. I did watch the show. You guys had some great information. Loved it. The hat is on fire. Thanks, Jason, Little Alien. Andy's Game Room. Detroit Love. What's going on? That is a big hat, that's for sure. Hey man, you got to rep these boys. These boys are on fire, right? These boys. This is America's new team, man. Everybody is pushing for the Lions, for sure. The Cowboys are gone. They're old news. The Detroit Lions is the new D. When you say the big D, we're talking about Detroit. And America's team is now Detroit. But everybody, I mean, Detroit's just been playing with so much fire, so much grit, right? Biting off kneecaps and taking no prisoners, man. Just racking up the points. But tomorrow's the big game. This is a divisional game. The Green Bay Packers. We are going to Lambeau Field. It's going to be rainy, a little cold. First time we're playing outside with a divisional rival. Okay, these are the boys who we have to come at every year, and so we're looking forward to this game. This game is going to be fire, and we're going to need that fire to heat us up in that cold rain. That is for sure. Kevin Clausen is in the house as always, dropping those $2 super chats, man. I appreciate you. Says I'll see you on Thanksgiving. Yes, the Lions versus the Bears. They will be here, right, in Detroit for that game, noon game. Dallas will have the evening game, so you get to enjoy the game before you enjoy your meal on Thanksgiving, and that is going to be a big divisional game as well. I don't know if you guys caught that Chicago game last week. Those Commanders, man, they came through with that Hail Mary. I was watching the game, the last quarter. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm a Lion. I had to root against divisional opponents, so I was rooting for the Vikings to lose, for Green Bay to lose, and for the Bears to lose. Everybody lost except for Green Bay, so we have to take care of that tomorrow. But that Hail Mary, I was like, man, this game can't be over. We got a few seconds. You can't leave seconds on the clock, because it gives an opportunity for some craziness. We almost had a game like that where who are we playing? It wasn't the Vikings. Yeah, it was the Vikings. I'm pretty sure it's the Vikings. Pretty sure it's the Vikings when we kicked the field goal to take the lead, and they had left 40 seconds on the clock. These guys going down, they got this weird penalty that didn't run off the clock, and they had a chance to throw a Hail Mary. Almost had that opportunity for the Vikings, but they sacked them. And when I say it doesn't sound like it was the Vikings after all. But who cares? We won that game. Chicago didn't win that game, and so we are at the top of the NFC North. Last year, we were kings of the North for the first time, and we are not looking to relinquish control, right? let's see who's in the chat here. Worst Jago, go Lions! Been a Lions fan all my life, man. We have been diehard Lions fans for so long. With rooting for these guys when they were down. It is a great, exciting feeling to be able to be rooting for these guys and for them to be playing so incredibly well. And I've said this to anybody that will listen, and so you guys are here, so you got to hear the spiel. I have said since the last year that this team, the Detroit Lions, reminds me the whole transformation that they're going through reminds me of the bad boys from the 1988 um, season of the bad boys, the Detroit Pistons. I don't know if you guys were familiar with the bad boys here in Detroit. These guys were a collection of players that we had no superstars. Like at the time, you had to have superstars, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You had to have the Julius Irving. You had to have these superstars, Larry Bird. I can just go on and on. Every team had to have one of these known house name superstars on your team in order to be able to win and go to the championship and win it. And the bad boys of that time, 88, 88. They came close. They had this really weird game. If you guys can look it up on YouTube, where they actually had 2 seconds on the clock. They were down by 3. 2 seconds is enough time to get a playoff and maybe hit a 3 shot to tie it up. But everybody just rushed onto the field like the game was over when it was 2 seconds, and they kind of robbed the Pistons of their opportunity, and that fired them up. They had been building this team, and they said the next year is going to be our years, and indeed was 1989, and they went back to back 1989 to 1990. But the makeup of that team, Chuck Daly was the coach. The way he encouraged those guys and built a team of talent, of no individual guy that just stood out. I mean, people argue that maybe Isaiah Thomas was a superstar, just shorter in stature, but it was just a collection of guys that were hungry for a win, that were all about the teamwork, all about working together collectively as a whole to be that one superstar, and that was the Detroit Pistons. So this team here, the Detroit Lions, reminds me so much of that time. Last year, I felt we were there. They were one game away. They had it clinched at the halftime, and then they just made too many mistakes in the second half. And these guys have come out this year fired up, determined to get back there and do it. And so that whole storyline of Detroit Pistons, bad boys, and the Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions, I see a lot of similarities in the way these teams are built. They're built around grit, brute force, right? Get it done dirty, but get it done with a collective strength of the team and not an individual. And that's what I love about this team. And I think they're destined to have that same path that the Detroit Pistons bad boys had for their run. So I'm excited for what these guys do. Now, I see someone have here. There's no doubt that we have to see Jameson, and that's the problem. We've had guys over the year, and I'm sure every football team has those players that you're so frustrated because how many people have this opportunity? How many people have this opportunity to make millions doing something they love to do, and they just can't seem to get out of their own way, right, to be successful? And it serves as a distraction to a team. It could very well do, and get people talking about things other than talking about winning against the next opponent. So it's very frustrating when you have players like this. So much raw talent, young. These guys are young. We forget about how young they are until they take those helmets off. And like, my goodness, these guys are young. But we have to allow the team to flourish, and if it means setting aside somebody, you may have to do that if he can't get this stuff together. And now all these things are off the field distractions. But on the field, he's doing what he's supposed to do. But you can't be on the field if you keep having these things that keeping you from in the game, as he is now serving his second suspended game, which means he's not going to be here for tomorrow's game at Green Bay, and so that definitely changed the dynamics of how Green Bay has to prepare for our Detroit Lions. So that is very it's just disappointing that this guy can't seem to get his stuff together. Let's take a look at some of those comments out here. Go Chiefs! See you at the Super Bowl. Last year we were supposed to be there fighting against those Chiefs, and we would have had them by the balls for certainly. But San Francisco, you got to win the game ahead of you, and so it did not happen. Yep, just a singular game room dude tonight. What up, James? Hate everything. I saw your videos, man. Great job with that, and I'm gonna touch on it. And I'm gonna borrow a snippet of your video if you don't mind. Put in the chat if that's an issue. But I do want to talk about the claw machine because I've said from the start. I think that's a very fun, exciting option for the home arcade. And so, enough of me rambling about these Lions. You'll hear from lots of people come this time tomorrow night after that game at Green Bay. What's going on, Jim, the Pacers fan? I don't know if I can get these comments to just come up. So yeah. P Dub said, "Man, if my Bears can't win, I'm just gonna just sit in the corner and cry." And Michael B's gonna be sitting in the corner crying with him as well tomorrow after the Green Bay Packers lose because that's his team. So I don't blame them because it is still an issue. Bears aren't going anywhere this year. All right, guys. So let's get started here. Yes, Allen's ageless arcades. Yes, those bad boys were on fire, just like these guys are today for the Lions, and I am excited. All right, JR. Let's see what I got to tell the truth on. Do you think it was a Dan Campbell jersey? Do you think no? Well, so let me give you the background behind this because it's actually threefold, and that's good. So you guys probably heard watching the shows. My best friend Sean Campbell passed away a couple of years ago, and I've known Sean since fourth grade. This was my right hand guy. We did everything through life, and it was very heartbreaking to lose him as a friend. His kids, he has 3 kids. I keep in touch with them. To lose their dad, it's just a terrible thing. And he was a diehard football fan, Lions fan. Went to many of the games over the years. Had season tickets when they were quite lousy, and he ran a football league for many years. Can't think of the name of his team, and it's crazy because I'm on a football league, so we kept the legacy of him alive through our fantasy, and so we named our league after his team. His team was always called Eyes for Talent, and Mr. Campbell, Sean Campbell, Eyes for Talent. He did it old school with the football league, the fantasy football league, and we all hated. I actually quit it because I just couldn't do it. You didn't have live scoring. He did it with his programming, and it was just old school. That's just how he liked to do it. But anyway, my buddy Sean Cambone passed away, and he is not here. He passed away as Dan Campbell was just taking the reins and getting his team under control, and so he is not here to witness this new Detroit Lions. So about this jersey, I thought about which jersey I want to get because I like this black jersey. It's fire, and I wanted to get the black jersey. So which player would I get to rep? And I thought about J-Mo. I thought about Gibbs. I thought about St. Brown. Right, all these great players that could represent it. But I said, I can represent the time of this era with the Campbell jersey, not so much for Jack Campbell, though he's a important part. He's been fired the last few games with Hutchison being out. But it's Jack Campbell, is Dan Campbell, and it's Sean Campbell. So I get to have threefold for the jersey, but obviously this is a Jack Campbell jersey. So that answers the question of why I chose Jack Campbell jersey to have my fire black my black jersey for your Detroit Lions and mine, because we're America's team. Don't you forget about it. And tomorrow we will remind everybody why you love us, because it's going to be a great game. Did my head shrink or my hat grow? This is my noggin boss hat, and it's fire, man. It's fire. I can wear it backwards, no problem. Put Peter up just like you do. There you go, baby. I can wear it backwards. I can wear it sideways. What? Wait. Okay. However you want to do it, but the best way is with your America's team, Detroit Lions, front and center. Yes, Hutch, man, that was a bad break, literally, for the team and for his leg, man. That's horrible. So he's gonna be back, hopefully for our Super Bowl run and the end of the playoffs into the Super Bowl, just when we need him. Yep, that is the truth. So let's get started. Okay, go Lions for sure. So I did want to touch on. I didn't get to go and see these guys at the Pinball Expo in Chicago. Missed hanging out with the boys. What is that? The vacation? What is it? Vacation Alliance, or is it Vacation Alliance? There we go. Vacation Alliance. I am part of Vacation Alliance apparently, but it stopped at Cleveland. I did not make it to Chicago. But those guys did make it to Chicago. I wish I could have been there to enjoy that and to meet you guys. The best thing about Cleveland was meeting the Vacation Alliance for sure, but also meeting a lot of you guys that came out, and that was a lot of fun. So and I enjoyed playing pinball. I played a lot of pinball that I had never seen before. Like, so this is William. This was Funhouse. Funhouse. I got to play this for the first time at the real game. When I set up my modified toy shop, the VPX. This was the first game I played. Funhouse. This was the first game that I got working on my setup, and I played a ton of that. You know how I am. I'll stick with something and I won't move on to the next step and get the. I played this with just a monitor sitting next to the computer laid out on the table for a long time before I actually put it in the cabinet. So, and built the rest of it. So I had tons of fun with Funhouse. Obviously the Alien, the Attack from Mars is one of my favorite pinball machines. I got to play tons of that while I was out there in Cleveland. So I was looking forward. I was hoping I was going to be able to make it to. You could probably recognize these guys. I was hoping I would get to make it to Chicago because I love Chicago as a great town, but and to be able to play some more pinball because they had tons and tons of pinball machines there. I saw living through these guys. All right, so I wanted to talk about the claw machine. And so obviously the claw machine finally came out, and we had a lot of videos that came out prior to its release, and Cool Toy and Pete Dubs and all these guys. James Hates Everything even did a video talking about it, and no one had it in their hands. And then finally they did get it into their hands. And so this is Adam Brooks. He did. He released this, and it was the first time most of us saw the claw machine. And I I said it from the beginning. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but everybody can find a niche for this in their arcade if that's something they want to do, because it's just a great addition to any game home arcade. uh, if you want to add those extra things, I mean, it's only so many games you can play, right? And you have to add to the audience, and people do that through many different ways, right? They they do it by adding jukeboxes, right? The old fashioned with all the LEDs. They do it by adding, maybe a popcorn machine or even a gumball machine and all these different things. And then, and for some people, even a cigarette machine, right? Albeit a miniature one. But all these extra things that just add to the atmosphere and to the fun. All right, people love foosball and little basketball hoops, and it's all these little things you can add to give people something to do when they come over, and especially the small kids. The small kids. Uh, Sometimes you don't want them messing with your arcade machines, and so this is something I think that would be a lot of fun for little kids. So it's great to see that this thing was came out. People was loving it. People were having a ball with it, uh, and testing out the strength of the claw and things like that. Yeah, yeah. So hopefully I can make it. See, October is just a bad time. We our company is regulated, and we have annual audits, and it's always in October. So we never know what week it's going to be in. But so October, I can never commit to anything in October until we get the date locked in for that, and they don't tell us early on. Yeah. So James Hates Everything did a video that talked about the fix for this. Um, and let's take this out. And so yeah, so so it's obviously something that they were aware that is going to happen. It looks like it gets out of alignment, and so you basically reset the machine and get it back on track. So a really simple fix. Um, like Arcade1up, you have those machines where you just why bother putting the screws back in? I'm gonna have to go in there often, right? Um, and that's just one of the things that come with the price range in our good friends Arcade1up. Is always something, but they give it up to the support team. They were aware that this would happen. They got the information out to them fast and was able to get that thing resolved so that people now know what to do if it does happen. And it didn't happen to everybody, obviously not yet. That's been sharing the videos, but it did happen to one of the community members, and they contacted Arcade1up and got this video out, and James shared that with everybody. So that is pretty cool. I mean, I never personally was a fan of the claw machines because it's the same reason why I don't gamble, right? I have lots. I have more things I want to buy than I would ever have money for to buy, and so I don't easily give my money away um, through risk and chance. I'd rather buy it on something that's certain, and so I don't I always say with a USB device, when you plug it in, you have an option to get it in. You have a 50-50 chance of plugging it in the right way, and most time I plug it in wrong the first time. So I don't have a good track record with gambling and doing risky things. So I avoid those type of things. The risk factor, and even something like this, I if I was interested, I would have minimized my risk by allowing other people to get it first, and I can see what happens, and then I would get it then. But I don't have small children that come over to my house often, so it's not something I would have now. But if my two daughters decide to have kids and I have grandkids, for sure I would get something like that and have it available because it's tons of fun. Tons of fun. I see people at Dave and Buster's and all these other places I go to, Marv's Incredible Museum that's near us or whatever that thing's called, and people enjoy it. I look at it and say, what did you pay for that little stuffed animal? Like $30, but you got it, you won it, right? It would just never seem to make sense to me. But obviously, this in the spirit of Arcade1up, um, it's no quarters required at all, right? So I do want to do this quick little throwback to this commercial.
Dad, how do I eat all the goats? Dad.
I can teach you, buddy.
Bring the classic arcade experience home with Arcade1up. Cabinets and risers each sold separately.
Oh, I love that commercial, man. Back in 2018, man, Arcade1up, as much as people give them crap and complain and whine and blah, 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 they sending out another Pac-Man cabinet. I love this company. I've had upside down marquees and things I had to switch out in my what is that thing called, Tempest. My Tempest, I had to get a replacement, control panel. So they're not perfect, but what would my man cave look like without Arcade1up? So I got to give them the love, regardless. And I still don't own a full size Pac-Man. I got my Miss Pac-Man right behind me here. So one day, if they put Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man on the same cabinet, finally I may get it. So keep making those Arcade1up Pac-Man machines. Just add Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man together, which I'll probably get a Donkey Kong from them before that happens. I don't think it's going to happen, but keep making them because I believe new people should enjoy this passion that we enjoy, for sure. So yeah. So I'm excited for people who have kids, little kids. And now there are some modding options that I would consider, right? So obviously the strength of the claw, the improved claw strength would be something that people would be interested. And of course, our friends over at Tulsa Arcades and I'm sure others are looking at modding opportunities on that they can make available. And that's what I love about this community, because the product doesn't have to be perfect when it leaves the manufacturing site and goes to the store and ends up in our house. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be perfect for those who like it that way, but people that want to do something different, there's always options in this community because people are very creative. And if there's money to be made, there's products to be made. And so that's what I love about this community. But just looking at the, let me put it back up here. I would put that. Where'd it go? This one. Oh, can you? I can't put this on the loop. That's weird. No loop. But some of the modding options, when you look at that, if I could just pause it right there, because that somebody's gonna like this picture. So just talk about. I'll get into this Evercade in just a minute. Where's Jago? So I just want to talk about some things that come to mind to me. Improve claw strength, right? But I would consider like internal shelves. Like if you ever look at these machines out in the wild, you can have a shelf up there where the claw is not able to access, but it kind of displays certain things inside there, and then they could be the things that you're going to put in the ball's necks and things like that. So it sort of gives you a storage area for it until you're ready for it, and it makes the unit look nice too, a nice display area. So internal shelf addition is something I would consider if I had one of these. And the prize area, in the video that Mr. Adam Brooks shared, he didn't like the idea that it has that like springboard at the bottom, so when the balls drop, they kind of jump out at you. I think that's intentionally designed to add some fun. If you think about it, little kids, and that thing, they're waiting for that thing to pop out. And that's part of exciting to be able to catch that. As an adult, it's hitting you in your knees. Maybe it's not as fun, but for a kid, I think that uh, is intentionally designed that way for that. But if you don't like it, then obviously that's an area where you can mod it to make it not include that. And then what about acrylic dividers inside to give some type of difficulty, separation of items in there? That's something to keep visually and to organize the items. Obviously, there's some LED. They just have the one light, and they sort of have these reflective back panels. But you definitely can add LEDs, additional LED lights to like the control panel, even lit up buttons or LEDs around that, or even like a kick plate. Have that lit up. Tulsa and other people, the gentleman from GI Joe from last week's show, he makes the custom risers, and those guys make lit risers. I know Adam Brooks mentioned that the height of this was too low, and I don't know why this lady here makes it look like it's so much higher. But you got to think about it. This is really designed. It depends on who you're buying this for, right? If you're doing this for kids and your audience is kids, maybe the height of it as it is fine. But if your audience is your drunk buddies and you got little whiskey bottles in there as prize, maybe you want to make that higher. And as long as they're not glass bottles and they're in the ball, the bouncy exit will be just as fun to see as your drunk buddies scramble to grab that bouncing ball as it releases the prize. And then to me, coin mechanism, and even if and see, Arcade1up missed the opportunity, I think here, because it can be a coin mechanism, but it doesn't have to be accept quarters. They're a toy company, at least their parent company is a toy company. Why wouldn't you make this with faux coins, right? Faux tokens, that you'll have to buy additional as kids to run off with them and don't use them in the machine. And like we should take the Chuck E. Cheese tokens home with us sometime, and they never made it back. That you would have to buy them. That would be something that would bring additional income to the company, to their parent company, to be able to buy those tokens. But I think having a coin mechanism on a machine like this, it makes more sense than not. And here's why. Because if this machine is just out there ready to be played, you hit the switch, turn it on, and play, then a kid can just sit there and wipe out all of the toys in one session, right? But if you give them the ability to earn a token, right? Whether it's doing their chores, eating up their food, cleaning up after themselves, making their bed, whatever the thing is, getting the good grades at school, whatever the case is, if you can reward them with a token that allows them to then go play this, then I think that makes it a much better experience as a parent to be able to control when and how those prizes can be awarded. And obviously, the difficulty level increases or decreases the ability for them to obtain a prize. But coin mechanism just makes sense from a business standpoint for tastemakers to profit off of Arcade1up's product, as people have to replenish those faux coins, and also from the parents or the owner of the machine to be able to control the dispensing of the prizes. You guys are really gotten quiet in the chat, unless my thing is just not updating. But let me know what you guys, if you guys are still out there. 9:24. All right. So let's see here. Kevin Claus, I want a claw machine now. Just not sure if I buy Arcade1up or hit the Facebook Marketplace. Yes, yeah, gambling, and that's the one thing I do not like about the NFL right now. They are pushing this gambling. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, the claw machine is not going to be for everybody. That is for certain. As is every product, right? There's there's no one product that's for everybody. But as a toy maker, as a home arcade maker, they have to decide, is there enough demand for this product to justify making it, and they obviously have done some research. And again, if you go to any place that has a claw machine, there's always people playing those machines. So it makes sense from a toy maker standpoint, from a home arcade perspective. Obviously, the it's not going to be for everybody. But yeah, the token, yeah, it just makes sense. It's a no-brainer. Um, I'd rather have a tall bar top that I just saw at Costco last weekend. Did you have a picture, a link that you can put into if it's on their website? I'd love to see what you are referring to, Ellen. Um, but while you're looking up that, so what are some other things? Obviously, music, sound. It has some sound effects, but obviously, you can hook up your own, whether you're using Bluetooth. You can add music to this to the experience, and even the display screen. I think that would be something nice. We've had these the things that arcade the at games, how they had those displays that change, and we saw who was on there. Was that uh, who had the curtain? That was Gallagher guy. I don't think it was Gallagher. I think it was someone on last week's show had the curtain, right, that displayed the arcade figures in the back. But to have a display screen that you can kind of to control what it displays, that would be pretty fun to have instead of just having those Arcade1up um, logos there at the top of this. Just to have Arcade1up on all three sides or all four sides at the banner, it's a better way to jazz that up. Um, and then obviously custom graphics. If we're talking about the marquee, the backlit marquee, which this is not backlit, but it should be, and it's easily done to do that. That will be those are what comes to me in looking at this and how you can customize this. Oh, Stock Jock, you're right. Stock Jock had the display curtains, but to have something like that with your display up there to be able to have some fun things that kids enjoy will make that. This to draw. Arcades are great when they draw the attention, and so you can very easily put something up there that allows you to draw people to this machine with some type of display. Thor KC, what's going on? So you're saying that the Alan was probably talking about the class 81 pub table. Well, he said I thought he said a tabletop, a bar top. So I think that would be different. It won't let you paste it. You might just have to, oh, well, yeah. Or what's the name of it? You can just type what the name of it is. I can look it up as well. Costco. Costco. Bar top. Alan, if you can just say what the name of it is, I can search for it. It's definitely not this gazebo bar counter. That's for outside. All right. But anyway, okay. So that's really what I had. I was just excited to see people getting this device and glad they're excited about it. Glad that they found the solution to the issue that they had. James, I know you said people had problems, but I don't know if it was people or a person had an issue. But if there's other issues, I'm not aware of those. Um, but um, I'm glad you have one coming, James. Can't wait to see your video when you do a either a live opening of that or a pre-recorded. Either way. Um, and so someone was asking about the Evercade. I I currently do not own any Evercade, so I can't speak about the experience with them. I don't know where that went. But I do have the nostalgia version of the handheld that is have been delayed until November 29th, I believe. So I do have that in my calendar. I am looking forward to receiving that and trying that. And that's all cartridge based. Now I play a lot of my Nintendo Switch. Never on the TV, only done that once. I play a handheld, and I've only switched the cartridges in there maybe once or twice because I've downloaded the ones that are loaded. So to have to carry the cartridges around, I have a nice little case that I carry around. It has some holders that I can hold like 8 games. So I guess I would have to have something like that for that. Um, oh, okay. So it's Arcade1up Miss Pac-Man Galaga Pub Table. Oh, pub table. Okay. Uh, and I don't know if I can just start search on Arcade1up and see if they have. They got a Partycade and the Infinity Game Table and the Infinity Game Board. So that's all my Costco is showing. So no luck there. But uh, I initially was not a fan of countercades. Um, I know another friend of mine that I've known since fourth grade and passed years ago, Gregory Branch. He was a big Defenders guy, and he was so delighted to be able to get the Partycade for the Defender, and he played tons of that. Um, I have to say hello to his wife, and I hadn't talked to her in a while, but yeah, he loved that Partycade. I've never seen a Partycade in person until I went to Costco. So I did see the Partycade at Costco before. So Thor KC says I haven't watched Michael B's review yet, but the Evercade seems like an interesting way to go. Cartridge-based multi-cade bar top, kind of weird, but I don't hate it. Um, yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I mean, we the newer generation will unfortunately probably never know what a cartridge is unless they get into collecting these older devices that they'll see as they go to these resale shops. But the resale shops, normally you go in there maybe to sell some movies, some DVDs or Blu-ray, and then you see these arcade. But now these generation, everything's downloaded. All their games on the on their consoles are downloaded, and so they may never get to go into one of those old shops and be able to see the neat things that are available out there. I still would like to go and get me a Dreamcast one day and play some NFL, not some NFL 2000, I think it was. Um, that was or 2001, whatever it was, but that was such a fun game. Um, and even the Afro, what was the boxing game? I would love to have an old Dreamcast, uh, just to periodically play. Um, I grew up playing a lot of consoles like the Ataris, the ColecoVisions, the Tandy computer games. I'm sure I'm missing a few different things, but in television, I remember basketball. It was neat that you had this controller that looked like a phone because you can do diagonal passes and things like that down the court. And at the time, it was like, wow, you can pass diagonally. You don't have to just pass straight, you know, and that was wonderful for the time. But I've had zero zero interest in playing a lot of those old games, like the Atari 1600, 2600, whatever, 1800, whatever the initial one was before the 2600. Even ColecoVision. I remember at the time just being thrilled to death, or thrilled to life actually, to be able to go home and play Pac-Man. But yet that Pac-Man was horrible, right? Those first versions of Pac-Man that was available in the home TV console was horrible. But we played it and enjoyed it and loved it because there was no other options. The 2600 was first. I'm surprised at that. I thought it was something before that. But yeah, but I just have zero interest in going that far back, right? Playing the Atari with the ski down the slopes and had its place, but I'm not willing to go that far back to walk down that memory lane. Now if I was at somebody's place and they had it, I definitely skiing and the bowling, they were incredible. I tell you, I used to in my elementary class, we had this. I don't know. You went to this lab, computer lab. I don't know if it was a class or one of your classes let you get out early to go to this computer lab, and we had these Commodore PETs. These Commodore PETs, green screen computer, and they actually operated by a cartridge, but the cartridge was an audio tape cassette. So the computer heard the sounds and interpret those sounds into data, which they then displayed on the screen. And they had this game where you had to navigate your cursor through this cavern, and the cavern would constantly be drifting, and you had to not hit the walls, sort of like a not lunar lander, but it's kind of sort of what's going on, Mike of all trades, what up, Moat? And that game was fun. And then they had this horse racing game that was on this Commodore PET. And this horse racing game, you would bet on the game. This was before I didn't have money, and I didn't have money to even lose with this game. But I enjoyed that horse racing game. There was maybe 8 horses, and they were just ASCII characters, right? Their legs was the slash switching from the right slash forward slash to the back slash, right, as it moved down the lane. And you would bet on the horse, and you either win or lose. And that game was tons of fun. But I have yet to find a horse racing game that, as an adult, that I could enjoy playing to that level. But again, you only had access to what you had access to. There wasn't a whole lot of computer games available. If you had a computer game to play, you played it, right? Because what was the alternative? Being in the classroom, doing whatever they had for you there. But to get to this lab and be able to do those things were fantastic. And if I got to play a Commodore PET in some of those old games, I would do that, because that's definitely was a lot of fun. Some other experiences I had with that were outside of the norm. I used to play tons of. I worked for this company, automotive company, and they had these CAD machines, these computer-aided designs, where they designed the Ford Bronco, and it was a stamping company, so they did like the fenders and all those steel pieces. And then I went from there to Lear Corporation, which is still around. The first company was called the Budd Company, BUDD. Thyssen Steel bought them out, and they only exist. Budd still exists on paper just for my pension. Uh, but the Lear Corporation, they had more modern CAD machines, and we would play either what was Glenn showcasing on his thing a couple of weeks ago, the tank game, uh, Battle Zone. We would play Battle Zone, and you could play on the LAN. So you're sitting on your various Unix computer, and you could play Battle Zone against each other. And then you could also play um, Doom. You could play. I'm pretty sure it was Doom, unless there was something before Doom. You guys would correct me if I'm wrong. But this was at work. This was at work. We would do that at lunchtime, and on these multi, like 20, $30,000 computers at the time, designed to design car parts, but we found ways to play some games on those things and had a ball with them because they were all those were the original LAN parties. We should play that. This was in the late, either I would say late '80s, early '90s. Um, Early '90s, I guess, is the right time. Castle Wolfenstein definitely was a game we played tons of. Um, so it may have been Wolfenstein that we were playing before Doom, but we did end up playing Doom. But I know we played something before Doom, but I think it was called Castle Wolfenstein. I think the original, it wasn't 3D for sure. I think it was called Castle Wolfenstein. Someone Googles that for clarity. But uh, I'm not sure. Oh, Horse Race, yeah. Horse Race, that was a lot of fun. 1979, it sounds about right. I was in fourth grade, 76, fifth, sixth, fourth, fifth, sixth. Yeah, I probably had access to it before it came out. It's possible because that's how we were back then. But that was at school. But tons of fun, tons of fun. So I have a lot of memory of some games, but would I buy some of those things? I might buy them. Would I play them if I bought them? That's a different thing, right? Um, but I do enjoy it. So it's starting to get cold here. Castle Wolfenstein, yes, Castle Wolfenstein. Yep, Castle Wolfenstein. We played tons of Castle Wolfenstein, for sure. And then the PCs. So everything was green screens, right? Your terminal base. You had your coaxial cables that you had to terminate on the end to connect the network. All these computers. That was my early days into IT, and um, it was lots of fun. Then the PCs. When PCs came out, they still were green screen. Some were amber screens, and then they got color, right? And then we started getting to the games there. Now, can you guys share some of the early computer games that you guys remember playing? Um, I remember something Island, Monkey Island. I know I played tons of that. Uh, Detroit Love was always around, even before I named myself that. But Leisure Suit Larry played tons and tons and tons of that silly game. Carmen San Diego, yes, definitely played some of that John J. Uh, Definitely Carmen San Diego. Zork, yes, Zork 1 and 2 played that for sure. Zork, all text based adventure game. Go north, go south, pick up plate, for sure. Uh, all the rest of those things other than Zork, I don't recall any of those other. Obviously Tetris, right? We all played Tetris. Um, Tons of Tetris. Um, Strangely enough, we had some pinball back in the day. Windows 3.0. Uh, yep. Always some form of golf, for sure. Always some form of terrible looking golf if you look at it now. King's Quest sounds very familiar. Uh, that does. Let's see. King's Quest. King's. Yeah, I definitely remember that logo there. Um, and what was the thing with the logs rolling down the hill? King of the Jungle, right? Jumping over the alligators. Um, a lot of early computer games. Police Quest. Oh man, yeah, definitely play some Police Quest. Forgot all about that. Uh, yeah, Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry was some crazy, silly games. Um, yeah, Police Quest for sure. Pitfall, yes, that's what I was trying to think of. Pitfall, tons of Pitfall. Um, and I remember, so that was elementary, middle school. I don't middle school. Maybe it was middle school with the horse racing, not elementary. But we started off in elementary. Um, Barrels and alligators were football. Yeah. Um, Jungle Hunt for sure. Jungle Hunt. That's what it was. Yep. Um, but when I got to high school, I worked in the computer lab. Worked in the computer lab, and uh, we had the Apple II. Had the Apple IIs originally, Apple III, Apple IIIC. Then you had the one named after his daughter um, came along. But I remember Fahrenheit 241 or 141. I remember that game on Apple. Uh, Apple IIe, yes, for sure, Apple IIe. Uh, and I was, the computer assistant. And it's funny because back then, the computer lab, nobody knew what was going on in the computer lab, right? The other teachers and Dr. Ashby. Dr. Ashby was my computer teacher through high school, and he smoked a pipe in there. I can smell that apple pipe stuff to this day. But he smoked that. No other teachers came in there. It was his own little kingdom where only he understood, and the few of us kids that knew what was happening. Um, but that was a fun time. Obviously, teacher wouldn't be able to smoke in the classroom, and they probably weren't allowed to smoke in there. But nobody came in there in the computer lab, so he probably got away with it. Um, yeah, Lisa was the name of the last one, but I think it was the color one that came out after what came after the 3C. The name, I don't think it's Lisa. I don't know. I can't remember. Um, but anyway, I'm gonna remove this. The Macintosh, right? The Macintosh, right? The Macintosh computer's the one that came out after the Apple 3 series, I believe. Um, but anyway, that's the only game. There was tons of games that we played in the lab, but the Fahrenheit 241 or 4 something, that's the game that sticks out the most that I remember playing. And I think we played Pitfall and things like that um, on the Apple as well. But then after that, went off to college down to Ohio, and you know everything got serious from then. And then I had kids, early when I came back from Ohio. So all of my arcades after that, that's why I can't really relate to with you guys on some of those '90s, late '90s um, things, because I was raising kids, and if I was at an arcade, it was Chuck E. Cheese, and I only had access to whatever games those tokens took. But my heyday in the arcade was the verticals for sure, where I spent the most of my hard-earned money. Obviously, Defender wasn't vertical, but Defender was hard as heck. So Defender got very few of my quarters because, again, I don't gamble, and playing Defender was clearly a gamble, right? Um, yes, I remember that game. I don't know what it was called. Ohio Red Cannon. I bring up those Buckeyes, and here comes the Ohio Red Cannon. Um, yep, I had a VIC 20, Commodore 64, Amiga. I remember um, a coworker had the Amiga, and Amiga was fire. The Amiga could do things that the what was the it was an operating system. This is going way back. What the operating system that should have been but never was because Microsoft came around. So it was IBM, yeah, Fahrenheit 451. Thanks, Ted. Um, and Swashbucklers. But the there was a OS. There was an OS that was super powerful, super sweet, super ahead of its time. Um, OS2, yes, OS2. Um, so I had a buddy that had Amiga, and he had OS2, and we were just wow, we were just amazed by what this operating system could do. And then along came Windows, Microsoft, and they got in bed with the IBM compatible, right? Because IBM was the main manufacturer of computers. Um, yeah, why aren't you a moderator, Jason? Let's see. I can only put you in timeout. There you go. Add as a moderator. There you go. There you go. I need to see that wrench. Thanks for reminding me, Thumper Squid. Go ahead and say something, Jason, so that we can see your wrench. But OS2, man, OS2 was the cream of the crop. That was a very, very powerful software. There's a wrench. There we go. Yeah, so OS2, man, I had so much high hopes for OS2, and Microsoft just came and just blew them out the window. They blew them out the window, literally. Um, Everything about that operating system was better than Windows, but it's about partnerships, right? They got in bed with IBM at the time. IBM compatibles. That's what everybody was making. Then Dell came along. I mean, I can now talk about not gambling. I have been at the forefront of every profitable IPO, and I could be a billionaire by this time if I just act on what I knew along the way. Amazon, Microsoft, list goes on. I did buy Facebook when it came out, but my wife, my wife bugged me every freaking day because she can. Oh, we're losing the penny. We're losing. I end up selling it, and just to stop the noise. And she just didn't get it that we didn't buy that for it to be making money today. It will be making money 20 years from now, and I just let it go. I just let it go. I should just did it, and then she not know, and we would be in a much better spot today as far as the investments go. But yeah, so many tech products, companies, products, services that at the beginning of it, all I had to do was just invest a few pennies on, and it would be a different lifestyle. But hey, you live and learn. But I can't complain about my life. I have been extremely blessed, family-wise, financially, friend-wise, hobby-wise. I enjoy what I do. I have never gone to work and regretted doing what I do. I've never left home or left work regretting what I do. My hobbies, my passions, my work, it all blends in. Technology's infused in everything that I do, And so I look forward to waking up every day and just enjoying what life has to offer. I get one shot at this thing called life, and I am lifing the life out of it and enjoying it every step of the way. And I hope that you guys are doing the same, because it's a beautiful thing, this thing called life, um, and there's more to come, God willing. Um, I remember OS2 about as well as possible to remember something I'd never tried, but I just remember it being called Warp for some reason. Um, oh yeah, the old Dr. J's 101, Dr. J versus Larry Bird, the 101 games. Man, those are scary, but again, it's all you had, and it was great to have those. It was great to have those things. Yeah, I'm not. I never really messed with BOS. Now I'll tell you. Now I don't know if you guys ever worked with bulletin boards. Now that's going back. Bulletin boards. That predates the internet, and that's how we communicated. That's how we exchange things through these bulletin boards. You had these numbers. You call up the number. You connect in. You get this menu, and you can transfer files, receive files. You can share files, and that was the way we traded software and all kinds of things through these bulletin boards, and that was uh, that was pretty funny and pretty fun. All these ASCII characters, people were very creative with making these designs out of ASCII characters, at signs, and etc. Um, but the bulletin boards were or something for sure. Jason ran two bulletin boards himself. I ran them on the Commodore 64 and on the Amiga. Got calls from all over. Yeah, that was huge, and it was funny. It was funny because you would connect onto these, and Jason, you can definitely relate to this. People will call from all over, and you don't know who's on the other side of the line. You don't know if they were the FBI. That was always a concern, right, Jason? It was the FBI? They're going to, get me for transmitting uh, the files and things like that. And it's funny. And so you would get on there, and you have these little nicknames that you would call yourself, and it was all men, right? It was all men for the most part for years and years. But I would pretend I was a girl. I would pick a name that was a girl, and these guys would just I could have my pick because everybody was suspicious of everybody, right? I'm not going to give you anything. You have to be in the club. Somebody had to have referred you, which nobody can refer you because who knew these calls were coming literally all over the country. Um, but I found a way, like I've always done, find a way to succeed in it, and I made up a username, a girl's name, and I got all the attention, and I could get any of the software I wanted. So that was hilarious, hilarious. Right, right. They break that back glass, the backboard in that game was hilarious. Yeah, it was yeah. It's just fun, just reminiscing about those days, those times, because we saw the evolution of this technology. It was our living life, and now it's history, and we lived a part of it, and it's just freaking awesome to have. Remember Archie, the old search things, Veronica, um, and all these things. It was just a different world pre-internet, and pre-AOL, right? Free discs, free CD-ROMs, all over the place. Right. Oh yeah. Back then, oh my God, to make phone calls anywhere was expensive. It was expensive, and these calls were long when you had to download some data. So you definitely was going to get uh, your share of phone bills if you did not have a bulletin board that was within your immediate area to reduce the zone calling. They called it zone calling, and it was horrible. a lot of my family is from Canada, just over the Detroit River here, just south of us in Windsor. Um, they, you know, the call over there was just ridiculous. The call from one city to another, from Detroit to Southfield, was ridiculous. But definitely the call over to Canada was outrageous. The call to Ohio was outrageous. It's just, yeah, it's just a different world. One board I ran was an upload download file ratio system. I got also the software from the U.S. and European. The other was a multi-line chat board. Yeah, those chat boards were crazy, but we were learning a lot, and those bulletin boards definitely was a vehicle for us to travel on and to get the information. Oh my goodness! And remember ICQ? You guys remember ICQ? That is it, right? ICQ, the old um, chatting service. You had to have your ICQ number. Was that the first? Was ICQ the first messaging system? Yeah, that backboard. What up, 19K Fox? What's happening? How are the former America's team doing out there in Dallas? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Let me know. Larry Bird. Yes, as always. But I got me. I have a 19K Fox hat I love to wear. Thank you again, Brother Fox. The creepiest chat boards to call were the D dial boards of the late 80s and 90s. So no frills. And so obviously, the technology, every bit of technology that we have today only exists because of porn. We would not have video, pictures, financial transactions, great download speeds, right? All the things we enjoy today, and even some of the games that we have today, they start off as porn. Okay. And gifts. Remember gifts? I mean, today gifts are little funny things you do on your phone, and you have this little motion picture of something silly. Gifts back then was a totally different thing, right? Um, uh, Without a doubt, porn is a part of all of our history. Okay, if you were in technology, because you couldn't get away from it, because the technology and porn rode the same track, and they still do that today. Oh yeah, the strip poker games. Strip poker games were that was it. That was it. I think those were the first uh, games, right? Strip poker, for sure. Played a lot of strip poker. What is this porn you speak of? Never heard of it. No, you didn't have to hear it, and most of them didn't even have sound back then. So you are correct. You never heard it, but you definitely saw it. That is for certain. Um, yep, news group is where you can get everything. Absolutely. Still alive. Haven't been that in years. Nope. Oh, ICQ. Yep, yep. Yeah, ICQ was revolutionary. I bet no one remembers Powwow in the late 90s. You could draw with friends, chat, play games. Powwow. Hmm. Draw. Huh. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't sound familiar. Doesn't sound familiar. Powwow. 90s. Oh, that's not. Powwow. That's not it. Huh. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. LimeWire. You've got mail. Everyone remembers AOL. And what was the American Online? There was something before that. The Sears bottom or Discover. What was if we talk about domains, the what was the Prodigy? You remember CompuServe? Yep, I remember. We had thanks Carl O. We had, but there's a is it Prodigy? Is Prodigy the one I'm thinking of? Thinking it is. Prodigy, were they the first evening? Thanks, man. Thanks for moderating through the end of that for me, Jason. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great evening. Um, but yeah, the old CompuServe, we had CompuServe accounts to be able to talk with Chrysler and those external people. We had internal mail that was only internal. Yes, Telnet for sure. Prodigy. I think because a friend of mine still has his old account from way back then. Let me see what the heck that. If I search for his name, yeah, I think it is Prodigy. Yeah. Prodigy was the oldest email. And remember, GeoCities had a GeoCities before it became Hotmail. But CompuServe was around a long time for sure, and we definitely had to have a CompuServe account to talk to external parties. Yeah, I don't remember Dark Helmet. Yep. Made my first website myself on GeoCities. Um, God's Choice was my website. God'sChoice.net. And I still use God's Choice for a lot of things. I actually had a puppet named God's Choice, and my kids used to love that. It freaked my wife out. One day, God's Choice was no more. He disappeared. She didn't like him just sitting in the corner looking at her. So he disappeared. Spaceballs, the movie. Mel Brooks. Net Zero. Yeah. Free internet, baby. Free internet. Oh, man, that was the thing. Net Zero and AOL was all over the place. But Net Zero, absolutely. Dial up numbers to get some free internet service. I'm not sure what the whale is, Thor. Yeah, smash that like button, man. I appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me. And for those who will watch this in Syndicate, it was a game called Syndicate too, right? That was really fun back in the day on the PC. Syndicate, you had like these little agents, and you get to control them. You get to control them and send them over in groups and get shot at and shoot up some people. Syndicate, man, that was a very very that game was ahead of its time for certain. I met your girl. You met your girlfriend on Web TV. Forgot about Web TV. 1985. That's the year I graduated from high school. Whale.net. I can't go to that website. I'm sure it revolutionized the internets. Yep, 56K modem. That was huge. You got a 56K modem because we had a lot smaller 1200 baud modems. We had some slow modems to begin to kick off this thing. But who doesn't like saying Spaceballs the movie? Halloween was the other day, and there was a guy walking down the street with a Scooby Doo suit on, and it's just you cannot say Scooby Dooby Doo without a smile, right? And so so I was in the garage going to my car downtown, and he was walking outside the walking past the opening that the car would normally drive into. And had this Scooby Doo, his face is out the neck of the costume, and and I do this Scooby Dooby Doo, and it just echoes through the parking lot. And he looked around, this big giant smile on his face. It was just hilarious, because how can you not saying or hearing Scooby Dooby Doo like that not bring a smile to the most miserable person, if they even have a hint of heart and some history with Saturday morning cartoons and Scooby Doo, for sure. But yeah, growing up, the Schoolhouse Rock was huge, right? For getting us to learn some things. Who didn't learn that a noun is a person, place, or thing from the Schoolhouse Rock? Learned about adjectives, conjunctions. Conjunction, junction, what's my function? Um, and so Saturday morning cartoons, we looked forward to those. I remember we couldn't wait till summer was over, and see what the new cartoons that were going to be released on Saturday mornings. Uh, it was a great time to be a kid. Today, kids don't really have that. Even Cartoon Network is adult stuff. They're appealing to our generation, I guess, that want to watch cartoons now as opposed to kids. So um, kids have a little different, and they're on iPads and gadgets more, playing games. So so they're missing out on a lot of the things that we had. Obviously, our childhoods in that time, nothing was perfect, but it's just a different time, and and kids don't even know who Woody Woodpecker is, right? Some may know Popeye the Sailor Man, but it's a different time, man. It's just cool to reminisce about that. Bill Nye, the Science Guy, for sure. Captain Kangaroo, Sesame Street, The Electric Company, those things got us through the day. Um, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Bozo the Clown, um, you know, it was just a very unique time. Television definitely introduced a lot of things to our childhoods, and it was limited. A lot of things you watched, you had no choice. You had limited choice. Today you have infinite choices, but I don't know how things really could get so popular because like everybody's not on channel two, right? You have to everybody's in their own little pockets of the internet or the interwebs, you know. So I imagine back then it was a lot easier to be popular. Yep, Electric Company was uh, pretty cool to watch. My boy Spider Man always made a showing on it, which I liked. You can't do that on television. Nickelodeon. Yeah, Nickelodeon was definitely a cool invention for the children. I remember 3, 2, 1, Contact, and Bill Nye's Sign Guy. Mm-hmm. I saw them coming from a party last night when I left for work at 2 a.m. Yeah, and my daughters, they went out somewhere last night. I think one was downtown, another one went to maybe Ann Arbor or somewhere. And of course, my wife was trying to keep them in. It's too late and blah, blah, blah. But they was like, nope, we're going out. And they got in their costumes and had a ball. Um, got up this morning, did our voting, early voting. Don't want to have to deal with that on Tuesday. Hope you guys get out and vote, regardless of what your beliefs are. and doesn't matter unless you put it to vote. So definitely get out and vote, um, and avoid the lines. I went 3 times today because me and my wife went first, and then my one daughter got up and went with her, and then the other daughter came in later in the afternoon, and I went back with her, and it was constant, continuous flow in there all day. So a lot of people are doing the early voting. So I can't wait till this election's done and behind us, and hopefully uh, whoever gets in there has some damn sense to don't make this country um, go down the wrong path. But we also have some justice, Supreme Court justice in our state. That's very important in Michigan here, and around the country and in different cities. There's different proposals. Like they forever trying to get money for certain things, and we've not passed them, and they keep putting them on every every election, hoping they can get more money out of our pockets. So it's just crazy. So I can't wait till this election period is over. That's all I got to say about that. What up, JR? Right. A hanker for a hunk of cheese. When you're feeling kind of low down and you going to the hoedown? I don't know. You hunker for a hunk of cheese. Yeah, those things just stick with you, and that's when they learn that you can make these songs and people remember it forever, right? And they kind of gotten away from that, and it's so important. And then they say, let's just say the jingles for commercials, and they want you to think about the products instead of thinking about the stuff that mattered, like a law and how the law was made. But well, guys, it's been an hour and a half, and I appreciate you guys stopping in and hanging out with me. I'm not without Fridays. I'm seldom not online. I do pick up bits and pieces from here and there because I do jump into social media from time to time, but I'm always only going to see the tip of the icebergs, and so I like that my iceberg runs ashore at least on every Friday night, and I get to hang out with you guys and spend a little time with you guys and chat with you guys. And no P Dubs, no Michael B, especially no Michael B. You guys got a lot of Detroit love conversation today, and that's a rare thing for you guys. So I'm glad the guys took a night off. I'm glad I got to chat with you guys, and it's been fun reminiscing, taking the walk down memory lane, and I wouldn't have done it and had a better time with any other group than with you guys. I appreciate you. I love you. And until next time, I'll see you on the web. Peace. Go Lions, America's team. Who's Dallas? We don't know. Detroit is America's team. Go Lions.